Okay, so freedom of speech is kind of the main focus of chapter 15. There's a case that this chapter kind of like picks apart that involves a visiting foreign student. So basically, it all started with a newspaper article on campus that shared a foreign student's very critical views on his home country. So the newspaper staff faced a really big issue of what to do whenever a source that may not have had full understanding of the American media process, who may be in physical or repressive danger by his home government, wanted something removed post publication. So, this newspaper at the University of Minnesota was basically award winning and very well known. A reporting intern with the paper, Catherine Lim, began to interview and observe a group of foreign exchange students from North Africa. But there was one candidate in particular that Catherine chose to focus on because of his candid interview with her previously and how smart and passionate this student was about like his studies. She made it clear to the student that the interview would be reported and that he was being recorded, and he understood. And with that being said, he spoke very critically of his home country of Tunisia and mentioned his father's involvement in politics. They talked about a few other things, and Catherine wrote down notes as she recorded him the entire time. And she asked once again at the end of the interview if it was okay to publish, and he said yes. So the article was published in late July of 2009 at the bottom of the newspaper. Ashraf, I'm pretty sure is how you pronounce his name. Um, he was the interviewee. He stated more than once that Tunisia lacked the optimism that he believed Barack Obama, the president of the U.S. at the time, brought to this country that he was visiting. Catherine felt great about the interview and what she reported. However, the editor-in-chief of the paper began to receive calls concerning the article and that Ashraf's picture and name needed to be removed from the article because it could get him and his family in a lot of trouble because some of the comments that he made about the education system and political issues in Tunisia were not okay. Legally, the newspaper was fine and within their rights, but morally, it could have been an issue that could have potentially landed one of their students in a lot of trouble in terms of like his future and safety within his home country. This could have impacted future foreign exchange students and their decision to come to the U.S. for education in a very big way, in a very big negative way. And while it was controversial for the reputation of the newspaper for changing their story after publication, they did anyways because it became a safety concern for one of their own students. A footnote was added explaining their reasoning of taking the last name and the picture of Ashraf out of the article. Um, I believe that the paper did the right thing, regardless of whether it hurt their reputation or not. It really concerned student safety, and while they didn't understand or they weren't aware of the conflict that the article could bring, they really opened up to hearing out those who were trying to save Ashraf and his family, and they took action on it. So I think it shows that they weren't just thinking about themselves and what was legally okay for them to do, but they also thought about their current and future students of the foreign exchange programs as well as their families. I think that that's really important to keep in mind, and it probably brought them a lesson on doing some research of governments and countries that their students come from, because while that might be important to do anyways, it's extra important whenever it comes to potential conflicts.